In this video, we will look at trend lines and how we can incorporate them into the zone trade methodology. Let us look at what a trend line looks like when drawn on a downswing. In this case, we will look for the trend line to act as resistance. In order to draw a trend line, you need a minimum of 2 reference points on a chart. Firstly, identify 2 swing highs that stand out to you on a chart. Draw a trend line from the first high to the second high and then extend this line out on your chart. We will look for a potential short trade when price returns to the trend line for the 3rd time. When the trend line eventually gets broken and price trades on the other side of the trend line, look for the trend line to now act as support. Let us now look at what a trend line looks like when drawn on an upswing. In this case, we will look for a trend line to act as support. In order to draw a trend line, you need a minimum of 2 reference points on a chart. Firstly, identify 2 swing lows that stand out to you on a chart, and then draw a trend line from the first low to the second low and extend this line out on your chart. We will look for potential long trades when price returns to the trend line for the 3rd time. When the trend line eventually gets broken and price trades on the other side of the trend line, look for the trend line to now act as resistance. Let us now look at an example of how we can use this concept when trading the zone trade. In this case, we can see the trend direction is down, looking at the moving averages, nice angle and separation. And if we have a look at these swing low points on the left hand side, and we then draw a trend line across from the left over to the right, you'll see we have 1, 2, 3 hits on the trend line. Eventually price breaks and closes below the trend line, and price retraces back up to the back end of the trend line. So the trend line acted as support, now it acts as resistance. Price comes between the 8 and 20 EMA, finding confluence of resistance from the trend line as well as the 20 EMA before price takes a nice move to the downside. Looking at another example, in this case price is moving to the upside. We have the trend direction up with the 50 SA pointing up, nice angle and separation with the moving averages, and you'll see a price is making higher highs, higher lows, and then pulls back. And if we have a look at this swing point here from this high down to the next swing point across, you'll see a price retraces into the zone, the area between the 8 and 20 EMA, and finds confluence with the back end of the trend line. There's also another little trend line running from this swing point here, which you'll see a lot clearer on a smaller time frame, with 2 swing lows as it finds support on the 3rd hit. So back end of the first trend line and then support from this little trend line in here. Looking at one last example, we can see price breaks down. We have nice angle and separation from the moving averages, and if we drew a trend line from the very low and we just extend it up, you'll see price has 1, 2, 3 hits on the trend line. Price then breaks below the trend line and it now moves back and it finds resistance at the back of the trend line as well as confluence inside the zone. So you can see price pulls back between the 8 and 20 EMA before taking a nice move to the downside.